Hi, I'm Ryan LaPlante, and I'm one of the crazy founders of Dumb Dumbs and Dice, the podcast production company that's making the podcast you're listening to right now. Now, we're clearly busy. We're producing 5 weekly podcasts and a 6th event podcast, but we want to take this time to invite you to become a part of our company and a part of our Patreon at patreon.com/dumbdumbdice. You can get access to our Discord, access to exclusive DM and character chats. You can get the chance to name characters in our shows and vote on the way their stories will progress. You can even become a recurring NPC and hear yourself interacting with our characters each week through the voice of Tom. You can become a patron for as little as $1, and there's great value for you at even that level. So please, join the Dumb Dumbs and Dice family and help us make even more content in a way that you are guaranteed to love. That's patreon.com/dumbdumbdice. DUMBDICE. So let's do something dumb together, and thanks for listening.
I am Executron, god of merchandising, and I came into existence because Dumb Dumbs and Dice has its own merchandise. That's a god pun. Get it? Dice? Merchandise? Anyways, you can get t-shirts, hoodies, spiral notebooks, clocks, wall art, throw pillows, bags, and even stickers emblazoned with your favorite Dumb Dumbs and Dice characters and their catchphrases. There are plenty of different designs available, so there is guaranteed to be something you love. To show your love of Dumb Dumbs and Dice, go to redbubble.com/people/dumbdumbdice. That's DUMBDICE. One more time for the mortals in the back, redbubble.com/people/dumbdumbdice. Get your merchandise today. All art supplied by the brilliant Decapitated Markers.
Welcome back to Dumb, Scum, and Villainy, a Dumb Dumbs and Dice podcast where professional voiceover artists and improvisers explore the underworld of this Star Wars Edge of the Empire role-playing game. I'm your host, Blotto the Toydarian. This series features our Game Master Tom McGee, Ryan LaPlante as Abraxes Brash Korr, Tyler Hewitt as Vic Denbar, and Adam McNamara as the forgetful psychopath Wakka Wakka Fonzie. Our heroes have been sent to pick up a package by Agrippa the Hutt. Each of them brought along a specialist. The bruiser Dibs, the mechanic Shatterstar, and the spy-courtesan Nix. They've entered hyperspace, heading for their target, and Wakka Wakka Fonzie is getting a message from a jukebox. There, you're caught up. So get out of my shop or spend money. No credits, only money.
So we're back in a galaxy far, far away, and you're traveling further and further away from the planet of Veros, where Agrippa the Blue has assigned a task to the 3 of you, as well as Xanatos, and of course your now entourage of Dibs, Shatterstar, and Nix. The mission is to set up a con aboard the Anarch 3 refueling station and Pleasure Dome, in order to attempt to hijack an Imperial shuttle carrying very, very valuable schematics and ancient technology that will turn the tide of the blood feud of the 2 criminal gangs circling Ico. So you're in hyperspace, so we've got that classic Star Wars blue spinny tunnel of space travel flying around you. The PT Cruiser is a bit of a... It's, again, a very fancy-looking ride. I'm going to say this isn't a smooth ride. I think it trembles a little bit in hyperspace. Xanatos is, like, kind of going around, again, constantly kind of gym-taking, I think, to you, Brash, being like, oh, my God. Like, he's trying to fix things, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's not damaged. It's just badly built. So he's kind of scurrying around doing that, as well as making last-minute plans. I'm going to say that ultimately he's kind of the mastermind for this. He clearly had a prior relationship with Agrippa, and as a result has been kind of tasked with running it. So he's kind of running some of the logistics. That said, of course, for game purposes, I'm going to let you guys determine what's going on.
Call the shots?
Yeah. But we open on the personal quarters of Fonzie. So Fonzie, what kind of room do you think you found that you would hang out in?
It's like the janitor closet because I I like small spaces. I tried to fit the jukebox in there with me at first, but it didn't work, so I kind of left it outside. I have Shatterstar in the next janitor closet next to me, and I have the bike, the Righteous Indignation, kind of right in between. So there's like a door, a space where my awesome bike is, and then there's another door.
Okay, wicked.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the bike had to be parked vertically, so it's kind of like wedged in there.
Yeah,
but
it's like how you park a bike
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
Like,
swoop bike rack.
Yeah, it's just kinda-
Shatterstar installed a hook on the ceiling, so it's just hanging from the hook.
yeah.
So she's in the janitor closet next door, which she also seems very comfortable in. I think the janitor closet is like immaculate because, dear sweet Vic he doesn't know this room exists.
It's super clean, yeah.
Yeah. And I think you've befriended the janitorial robot. What do you think that robot's name is?
I think it's a Sweep.
Sweep. Very nice. So Sweep is like he's very much in kind of that Futurama vein of a spindly robot, or like there's a couple of them on the sand crawlers, but like very spindly arms, kind of like a cylindrical chest, and his head is kind of like if you flipped over one of those big water jugs.
Oh, yeah.
And it comes to a point, and he's got sort of like 2 eyes on top and 2 eyes on the bottom. And whenever he sweeps, he just mutters, sweep, 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 dustpan, sweep, sweep, sweep. So you've been sharing good stories with him because he's an incredibly good listener. And incidentally, a lot of the questions you've had for him can be answered by the word sweep. So you're like, you seen my bike? And he's like, sweep. And you're like, yeah, sweep bike. Fuck, this guy's really smart.
Do you like my friend Shatterstar that I made? Sweep, yeah, I think she's pretty sweep too.
Sweep.
Yeah, she's pretty sweep.
Sweep.
Do you see the necklace that she made me? What do you think?
Sweep.
Yeah, I think it's pretty sweep too.
Sweep.
Are we friends?
Sweep.
I think we're friends too. Sweep.
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 I think the two of you come up with a secret handshake that's just both of you brooming at each other because that's all he can really do. He's got a broom affixed to his hands. Like it just kind of... all right, amazing. So you've befriended Sweep, and the two of you are roommates.
All right.
I was going to say, just from the logic of what I've heard so far, I feel like you did annex Sweep's home. Like you did take his room.
Honestly,
As a hostile takeover.
Sweep has an amazing Star Wars Expanded Universe novel that you can get from Del Rey Books. But he's also
Called
like...
Sweep, Riptide.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a Jedi or something in it. It's really strange. It ties into a Disney theme park. Sweep seems to actually
Galaxy's
be like...
broom.
The lines are just as long. It doesn't matter as long as it's Disney. He seems really happy for a roommate. You occasionally catch him just kind of like looking at you, doing that classic like shitty one man show thing where like puts his hands up on the broom and just kind of like stares at you. And he's like sweep, and you go, oh, didn't see you there. Like you get what he's throwing down. But as much fun as you're having with Sweep, you're a little bit haunted by the mysterious message you got from the jukebox. It doesn't make a lot of sense to you, but I think even though you've kind of lost your memory and are kind of new to all of this, given your aptitude for making new friends, the fact that this voice wanted you to trust it sounds about right. It essentially offered you great reward if you could bring it a copy of the entry codes to Agrippa's basically file server. So essentially, they want like a data stick with Agrippa's access codes, and so it'd be an act of great friendship towards the syndicate. Yeah, syndicate. So to become a great friend of the syndicate, they require you to provide them with
His memory
access
stick.
codes. Yeah, basically like a USB full of access codes.
But he made it seem really like it's like there's this really shiny button that you need to approach.
Well, so here's the thing. It's a pre-recorded message that probably assumed someone smarter.
Never mind.
Well, no.
Okay.
So incidentally, I think I don't know if you necessarily understand that that's what it was asking you then, because it was like, I require a memory stick that will allow me access to the servers, and you're like,
Got to get this guy a stick.
Sweep has a stick. This is easy.
Also, I think the idea of a memory stick sounds really attractive to you because you're like, that would actually help you.
Put that in my hole in my head.
So you gotta find me one of those. So anyway, that's just something to keep in mind. Whether or not you tell these other two is up to you. But yes, that is the coded message that would normally be accessed through a complex series of buttons that perhaps an insider could push. But damn it, you punched your way to success. It is the Fonzie way. So what do you think, Vic, you've been doing on the travel? It's not a... This is all very time sensitive, so this is kind of a couple hours journey. You've got time for like a couple of things. What do you think you've been up to?
Dibs is probably in his quarters. Vic is in his quarters with Dibs. Vic's quarters take up about 30% of the PT Cruiser, which lends itself to why this thing runs so poorly. It's just not an efficient allocation of space.
I kind of imagine it as like the center back. It's like from the middle of the ship back.
Yeah. I think we've just finished a rousing game of racquetball. And we are now we're at the bar, just kind of relaxing. You know, you get the sweat up. You know, you got to get limbered up for a big operation.
Yep.
And so now Vic's kind of like toweling off and like throwing a towel to Dibs and been like, you know how to make a drink there, Dibs?
So Dibs is wearing like tiny sporting shorts, and he's wearing one of your sports polos. So it's almost a midriff top on him.
Yep. You look good in that, Dibs. You can keep that.
He kind of smooths it over his like bulk, and I think like in my head he's just Brick from Borderlands, but I think you could also safely say, like, if Dave Bautista really got into steroids in a hard way.
Yeah.
So like,
just Dave Bautista, like he's just the Bond villain from, God, it wasn't Skyfall. He was a Bond villain. I can't remember which one.
it was,
He was a Bond villain.
Yeah, just that.
Yeah. But like taller and wider, but still like a portly.
Yeah. Funhouse mirror.
Yeah,
Dave
there you
Batista.
Ray Stevenson?
Yeah, kind of, but by way of like steroids. Everyone by way of steroids.
Right.
So
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, anyone, literally anyone from Pain and Gain. So just this massive fucking like block of a man. So he kind of like smooths it over him, and then he kind of like shuffles behind the bar, and you can see him looking around in like gentle panic. And he's kind of like checking the bottles, and he kind of looks back at you, and you can see that he's actually very nervous. This is not his forte.
Hey, don't sweat it. I'll make us a drinks. I'm actually one of the best bartenders in the quadrant.
Dibs looks like
number one bartender,
very surprised,
yeah,
but also like
4
very
years running.
honorable. So he like shuffles back in front and like sits down on a stool that actually sinks into the deck, not because it can do that, but just because he's heavy.
Okay, and I'll mix 2 drinks just from my collection of space spirits.
Space spirits, great. What's your drink of choice? What's it called?
Let's call it. It's a Dagobah mudslide.
Yeah, you.
And the other one is it's called a Cosmic Quasar.
Okay, which one do you give to Brick?
I give him the
Or to
Cosmic
Dibs, right?
Quasar. It's the fancier looking drink, but there's a fuck ton of sugar in that kind of thing.
So he picks it up, and it's like, it's the kind of classic, like, big guy holds something delicate. He just reaches out like he's going to crush it. In the last second, he just, like, very delicately, like, 2-finger picks it up, sort of pinky out, clinks it to you, and he sips it, and you just see a look of pure bliss come across his features. Like, he's just the happiest that a giant scary man can look.
He would be.
And then he drains it, he puts it back down in front of you, and looks at you the way a dog looks at someone when they want another treat.
You want some more there, Dibs? All right, I'll make you one more. We got a bit of time. I'll make him another one.
Smash cut to Dibs' past, sitting there working for Agrippa, and it's just like Carve like mixing drinks and like Agrippa mixing drinks and like fucking Shatterstar's mixing drinks, and he's just sitting there quietly, like the Amelie score is playing, and he's just really sad, and he's just watching
listening to the Amelie score. On his jukebox.
yeah. He also got the message but didn't understand what it meant, and there was never a drink for Dibs till now, so you feel like you've actually made a friend. I mean, you don't feel that way.
No, yeah.
That's what's occurred.
I've impressed someone
Tyler
with
feels
my-
like he's made a friend,
Yeah, yeah.
but for Vic, this is like...
I've impressed him with my excellent drink making skills. How utterly expected.
Do you think Vic has trouble being alone? Is this kind of like a Vic thing
yeah.
that he just always kind of needs some hangers on?
He does.
All right.
Yes.
Very cool. So Dibs finishes his drink and then he goes to leave.
What are you thinking of doing next there, Dibs?
He just kind of gestures to the sweaty, tiny clothes he's wearing and shrugs.
I don't know what to do with that.
He starts miming having a shower.
Oh yeah. No, I mean here, use my bathroom. And it's just a fucking like palace.
Yeah, it's the size of the racquetball court.
Yeah, it's a Donald Trump like wall to wall like gold plated bathroom.
He walks in, he looks around, and you can see he's thinking, this is going to be the nicest place I ever shit. And then he closes the door behind him. All right, we smash cut back to, I would assume the cockpit. Are you flying?
Yeah, I'd be
Yep.
flying, yeah.
All right, so what are you doing in the cockpit? Who's there with you?
So Xanatos is probably off planning. He doesn't need to be in the cockpit for that
he's
purpose.
got like
so.
a full Charlie Day red line like thing set up in the lounge.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd be in the cockpit. I'd have like cleaned my pistols. I'd have probably done a few crunches. You know, you just got to take the time when you can. It's an important part of fitness. I say to myself, as Ryan.
How do you feel? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. How do you feel being in space for the first time? Really?
It's pretty fucking dope because I mean I'm going somewhere and we've got like a con to run, which is nice. We got a team. Like this is a hefty upgrade from being like the guy who's afraid to die because I'm flying somewhere. And I mean I'm playing it really cool, but like I'm not traditionally that cool. like for a Falleen, I'm sort of average looking. Like for the rest of the universe, I'm incredibly beautiful. And it's nice to fly, but I'm a little bit nervous about it. So I decided I want to play some of the games that I'm the most used to back in my because it's Falleen middle class is still nightmarish upper class for a lot of other places.
Yeah.
So I invite Nix up to the cockpit because he'd said that he'd been flying but he'd never flown.
Yep.
And one of the ways that Brash has practiced his Falleen skills is he doesn't actually sleep with courtesans. He makes them fall in love with him is his goal because he considers that to be like the sweeter victory for that kind of romance. So having invited Nix up and had like polite conversation, he wants to find out about his dreams, but he asked him if he like wants to learn how to fly in like a very flirty, clearly layering on his interest. No pheromones yet. He doesn't like to trick people into doing it.
That's good because otherwise he would die very quick on the show. Oh no, there's no atmosphere in the cockpit. You're dead. All right, non-rapey characters. How you doing? Great. So he comes up to the cockpit. I'm trying to figure out what to make you roll on this.
I've got Charm, which I imagine to be the thing that I'd be playing with if we want to use
so
that.
Charm and Presence would be your two.
Yeah. Okay. So
Tell me your pool and I'll tell you what to
I've got 3 of Presence and I've got 2 in Charm.
Okay, so 2 in Charm, 3 in Presence. I'm gonna give you 3 purple because he's trained in this sort of thing. So
of
he's
course,
got
that's
natural.
why the
reluctance.
game is worth playing.
And I'm going to spend a destiny point to upgrade one of those purples to a maroon. So upgrade a difficulty to a challenge.
That's all you get. You get no positive dice. Good luck.
Well, no. So for your positive dice, you've got
3 Presence and 2. So I would get 1 green and 2 yellow.
That is correct. And I'm going to give you 1 boost because you're playing off an earlier flirty line that you had.
Great. And I have an ability that lets me remove 1 black die. Does that really downgrade the red or no?
No, it doesn't. It just means that if they were black die, you could remove them. However, there are no setbacks currently in front of you.
Okay, that makes sense. Yep. All right, let's roll them bones. All right, I have 3 threat, 2 success, and a triumph.
Oh, damn. All right, so a triumph is pretty sexy. They count as success symbols and can also be used to trigger powerful positive consequences. So, for example, in combat, you can use them to regain strain, to add boost to other people's die. You can trigger criticals, all sorts of crazy stuff. Since this is a social encounter,
You guys are having sex in that front seat. It's going down right now.
No, he's just got to love me. That's the thing. No, I love him too.
okay, so you said 2 threat,
3 threat, 2 success,
2
triumph.
success, and a triumph. Okay, so I'm going to say all right, here's what I think happens. So you kind of entice him in and say, like, do you want to learn how to fly? And you begin to teach him how to fly. And a few things happen. He's very cagey. He's very, like, sort of cognizant of what you're trying to do. And what's interesting for you, Brash, is that almost immediately it becomes like a sexy game rather than like, you're like, oh yeah, like I'm going to run my game on this guy. But he's also aware that you're running a game and he's running a counter game. And instead it almost becomes like almost shop talk very quickly. As a side note that sort of relates to this, I have a friend who was a server in a strip club, a male strip club, and he's like, I can't go strip clubs anymore because the second someone's like, hey, where are you from? He's like, look, I know this is part of the job. So I feel like it's a lot of that for both of you, where you're both kind of like countering each other. The other thing is you've never actually had to teach anyone anything. So I think based on your 2 threat, you do actually start to kind of develop feelings for this guy because you're helping him, and there's a joy in actually sharing something that you've had a great passion for that no one gives a shit. Like, Xanatos doesn't want to hear about your flying. Your family at home definitely didn't want to hear about your flying. But based on your successes and triumphs, you can see that he is also, like, legitimately touched that you're taking the time to show him this. Also, because you've got a triumph, A, not only is he starting to fall in love with you, but B, you've actually taught him how to fly. So now he has 1 rank in piloting and can swap in as either a co-pilot or if you need someone to kind of man the ship. He's now competent enough to do it as long as it isn't fancy flying.
Nice. Well, then I imagine having settled into a friendship that could become more, will continue like the rest of the flight together. How long is this trip?
It's not very long. It's a couple of hours. Again, the goal being to catch a ship desperately fleeing Coruscant. The timelines are all very tight. You should have about a day on board the station to set up your con. But again, everything has to move pretty quickly. And part of the reason that Agrippa needed you guys was rather than sending in people who might be able to get it done over a span of time, based on your current connections and abilities, the odds of you just being able to kind of step into this are pretty high.
Great. So if we're on a straight hyper lane trip, I imagine autopilot can work in a straight line if you're in hyperspace. Because then I imagine we want to take, like, eventually we'll have a meeting where Xanatos will be like, here's the plan. If he's in charge of plan. So Nix and I will just fly and talk shop and talk about our lives and how we both sort of hope we can steal some extra shit. Like maybe some of the walls come down and we just have a slightly more honest discussion about our goals.
That's what
here.
I mean. Like it's just it becomes like a honor amongst thieves chat almost, where it's like, okay, like I'm really glad I don't have to do the whole. So where are you from? Oh, that's really interesting. I've never been there. I've always wanted to go. It's like, oh, thank God. All right, yeah, no, I'm from nowhere. No one gives a shit where I'm from.
Yeah,
like,
we're both like, I really hope there's a second crate that we can just walk out with for ourselves.
Yeah, wicked. Okay, that's very fun. I like that. So all 3 of you made friends. This is really nice.
Fear-based, confusion-based, and mutually trying to fuck with each other in a sexual way, friends.
Thus ends Dumb Scum and Villainy, a friendship tale.
A friendship podcast.
Join us for season 2. So eventually you all meet up in the lounge. I'm thinking kind of the Millennium Falcon style lounge, so it's kind of like a circular table. Xanatos has kind of set up some stuff around to kind of prep you about the station.
Hey, friends, it's Ryan, but like regular Ryan, as himself, talking about Dum Dums and Dice. Yes, I'm one of the people behind this show. Obviously, you're listening to this show. You're loving this show. Somebody's doing great. Probably not me, but like Tom, he does really good work. Tyler does really good work.
third person also does really good work. I don't know what show this is on. But the important thing is that you can support the show and join the show at
Patreon.com/dumdumdice.
That's right, that address that I totally just said. Go there, join Dum Dums and Dice, support the show. It's going to be great. I sit wherever the lighting is the best.
The lighting is like generally shit everywhere, but yeah, you find a spot that's like the least shitty, but it's still, if this was an Instagram photo, you'd still look kind of bad.
Yeah, I turn off the like 3D projector game that has the claymation creatures fighting because being lit from below looks good for no one.
Sure. I get here late and I go to my spot and I see you're there. I'm like,
I take down my bike off of the wall and I kind of wheel it in and then I like sit on it, but I'm kind of like doing like a pose.
Yep.
And Shatterstar is kind of, there's like a back seat. So she's kind of like sitting on the back too, also posing, but like checking her like space phone every now and then. Not really into the conversation.
I realize there isn't a seat for Nick, so I just sort of point at my lap. But I like shrug, or he can stand, but it's not required.
He kind of like gives you kind of a knowing, like, yeah, right, of course, no thanks, and just goes and leans against a wall.
I nod appreciatively. Yep. I didn't want that either.
And I think I don't think you told Dibs there was a meeting.
Dibs is in the shower.
Dibs is still in the shower.
no, I'm not going to rush him.
Yeah, we smashed into the shower. Splish, splash, I was taking a bath.
He had the best shit of his life. How could he not have the best shower?
Yeah, he can't speak, but he can sing.
It's selective mutism. It's only while he's alone he can talk.
He's just a professional. he's told not to speak unless spoken to. And,
He's a professional mummer.
Wicked. So you all meet up in your poses, and Xanatos is like, Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, Space Jesus Christ. We're not shooting a fucking calendar. And none of you move from your poses. And he's like, yeah, all right,
This
fine.
is just how I naturally hang out. I'm just kind of, I'm just real loose with it or whatever.
He goes, I hate flashy people. And then he runs a hand down his like handlebar mustache and a hand back through his mohawk and turns in a flourish.
I was going to say, I slide on sunglasses and go, ditto.
I give my bike a couple revs. Like,
Like an alarm goes off on the ship. And you see Sweep Sweep come out and be like, Sweep Sweep?
he cleans up the ash that's like
Yeah.
left over. It's like,
He's
sorry
like,
about that.
It backfires. It just sprays ash.
I was gonna say, it's like the jet, like the engine out the back just like burned the wall.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's just like, sweep, sweep.
Thanks, bud.
Sweep. So anyway, so he goes about his sweeping. So Xanatos is like, look, I know not everyone here is a professional, so thank you all for bearing with me. Obviously, Vic, this is, I know you've already thought of all this, but I'm just going to tell these guys. Is that all right?
No, yeah, of course. Yeah, you got to.
Cool. And really,
As a good leader, I like to make everyone feel important in their role. So.
for sure. And it would really help me because I'm trying to get better because I know you're really good at this. If you could like pretend that you don't know any of this, so I could get a sense of what it would be like to tell someone who doesn't know, that'd be really good.
All right, yeah, I'll humor
All right,
you.
thank you. Oh, thank you so much. You're really cool. I really appreciate you giving us a ride on your ship.
Oh,
Your ship.
stop it.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Well,
seem
okay, a little more.
so generous. Maybe you could also get us all a snack or some drinks or something. I mean, I'm sure you know the very best things that are available on this ship.
Absolutely, yeah, no problem. Dibs?
Taking it. Dibs comes rushing out in a towel. None of your towels are quite big enough for his girth. He's very impressive.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dibs showing off here. Dibs, could you get us some snacks, please? Any of them will be the best snacks anyone has ever had on this ship.
He looks to Sweep, and Sweep's like, Sweep, and he's like, and he runs back to the bar. If you were to smash cut to the bar, it's him like opening drawers and pulling out like different packs of peanuts and not knowing which one is the better one. Being like, It's Mr. Burns doing the ketchup catsup
It's
thing.
tough because one is a pack of peanuts, the other one is packing peanuts, and it's like he's sweat rolling down his face.
Meanwhile, back in the lounge, so Xanatos basically lays it out as such. The refueling station has been retrofitted with kind of a pleasure dome. It's a bit of an out-of-the-way joint. It's kind of on the edge of space, sort of not known space, but Imperial space. It's just sort of on the edge of the core worlds. This is definitely not a place any Imperial shuttle would stop if they had the chance. This is basically a car breaking down in, like, Hills Have Eyes country or Chainsaw Massacre country. Like, not a place they would ideally go. It's kind of been hooked up with this sort of. If the original fueling station was kind of a classic Star Trek berth for ships, that's kind of like the almost like a rib cage that you can kind of park your ship in and get it refueled. This thing is like a sort of a dome and cylinder that's been added on the side that's been kind of built up over time. So it's all very ramshackle, but it kind of combines into a weird, shitty...
A sort of pleasure tumor.
Yeah, a pleasure tumor.
Got it. Just benignly
I was gonna say,
hanging there.
I was going to say, it's basically Reno, and you're like, pleasure tumor. I'm like, pleasure tumor, Reno.
It's the balls of entertainment.
He basically says that the station is still pretty small, and again, the trick to this will be creating enough of an event that it makes sense to have people like Fonzie and Dibs wandering around the station, because normally no one would just let kind of two toughs go hang out in places. But if you can make enough of a big deal, you might have a shot. So. The pleasure tumor consists of a bar called the Tipsy Droid. That's kind of a bar and casino. He's going off what's essentially an old strip mall map. So he's got like marked the good restaurant and the bad restaurant.
I named those places.
There's sort of a central authority that is essentially like the casino manager's office. It's the sort of the administrator for the station. There's security. There is sort of a mechanics maintenance shop called the Bot Works. And then, of course, there's the pumps themselves. So those are kind of the main locations on board the station. The other thing is, he's like, oh, look, folks, I mean, it's nice that Agrippa wanted to set us up with this, but if we come up with something better, I say we just go with it. I mean, we're a smart crew. I mean, we've got the best ship, and we've got the best people. Especially Vic. So I'm saying if there's something else we want to do, we go for it. But this is what I'd recommend. So let's get our con going. But open to suggestions. Want to make sure this is a democracy. And it kind of like winks at you, Brash, meaning like we'll come up with a plan. They'll eventually follow it. But I want to make this seem like a democracy. So it kind of opens the floor. Mechanically, feel free to pitch your plans.
Well, we know that there's a card game going on here that I will be gambling in. So I think if I can just win that, we'll walk away with a lot of money. Vic has forgotten why we're here, and we'll just split the pot. If you can all just chip into a pot, because I'm a little tight on funds, or just waiting for some things to clear on Alderaan. So if you guys could just all chip in. Couple hundred credits each, a couple thousand credits.
Right.
Let's go blue sky here.
Well, I mean, you're a very good player, right?
I'm the best.
Wonderful.
I'm the best in the galaxy.
I mean, I took a look at the schematics for the ship while I was flying our way here. I had to review all of your majesty, and I noticed that you have an incredibly gold-plated bathroom.
It's true.
Perhaps we could stake the bathroom as your claim to get into the tournament. You'll never lose it because you're such a great player.
That is, without a doubt, the best plan I've heard so far.
So
it's the first one, so careful, everyone. Stiff competition.
I nod knowingly and calculate how much the bathroom is worth.
Fuck, I don't really know what check to make you roll for that. How much is the bathroom? Let's say it's like a 2,000 credit.
Cool,
situation.
yeah, that works. So we've got 2,000 credits. How many credits is that in this area, Tom? Like, I have some underworld knowledge, so like, would that be exciting for a station of this value? Would that not be?
So there's a few stats that all of you have that I think are going to kind of become active throughout the course of this session rather than coming into it, because I think you understand underworld stuff, Ryan, but it doesn't make sense to me that Brash would actually know until he was in a place.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So I think for you, the 2,000 credits is pretty good. The other things that I think like Xanatos would probably recommend, you also have the ship. So you've got
just the whole ship.
You've got the toilet. You've got the ship. There's the possibility of Fonzie's bike, but you're not sure how attached he is to it. But again, the ship is a pleasure vehicle. Like there might be some stakes in that. That said, from your underworld knowledge, I would say like 2000. Like the thing is, you're essentially going to the equivalent of like if a biker bar had a casino. So you're not sure the clientele. The bikers probably wouldn't give a shit, but the people who kind of hang around the bikers would probably be really into 2,000 credits.
All right, so we can start something small if we want to risk the bathroom, but I mean, you want to make the real money, don't
And
you?
it's not a risk.
It's true. So what do you say? We just throw the whole ship up there. I mean, it's the best ship. It must give you the best value, which will give you the best winnings.
Okay, this guy is going to talk when we get there because he is selling me hard on this. I'm all about it. Yeah, we'll bet the whole ship, and when we win, we'll split the profits. And I point to each of you like 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, and I'll just take the rest.
Cool. So Xanatos looks to you, Fonzie. He says, "Hey, now I know we just met, but I like to think that we're friends. Would you say that's true?
Are we friends?
I think we're friends.
Good. Okay. All right.
All right. So can I call you Fonzie, or do you prefer Mr. Fonzie, Mr.
No,
Wakka
Fonzie.
Wakka?
Fonzie to my friends.
All right.
Friend.
Well, thank you. That's great. I appreciate being your friend. And he goes to give props to Sweep, and Sweep's like, Sweep. You got to earn that. He's like, you look like a pretty capable fellow. If a fight were to break out, you think you look like a guy who could handle himself, right?
Wouldn't be much of a fight if I was in it.
Oh.
Yes, slaughter.
So you're the Vic of what he is to cards, you are to killing.
I guess you could say that. And bikes. I really like bikes.
I mean, I'm
And
also
sweep
pretty
sleep.
capable in a fight. I just want to put that out there that like I could handle myself and 7 or 8 other dudes. So
I mean, cool. That's awesome. You're really cool, dude.
I don't like to flaunt it, but I am.
That's good to know. can
I
use it for
look to
backup.
Nix and I'm like, Nix, could you perhaps speak with our friend Vic about his different combat techniques so he could chime in with the things that are required for this, but otherwise he could just tell you tales of exploits. So perhaps, Vix, you could save Nix's life. Vic,
and Nix looks to Vic and he goes, I think I've heard about you.
Well, it makes sense. I'm one of the best fighters in the sector.
I hear, and he kind of like takes you by the arm and starts like guiding you down the hall towards the snacks that poor Dibs is still desperately trying to sort out. He's like, I hear you once defeated 15 Trandoshan bounty hunters while playing cards.
Now, where did you hear that?
I heard it from the best. And
Because it was actually 20.
and you guys disappeared down the hall. Xanatos is basically, he suggests that part of the problem with this is the Imperials are going to be scared and they're going to be kind of desperate. So they're going to want to fuel up and go quick, which means that you need to have someone there. You need to be able to cause a big spectacle, to cause some chaos and kind of muddy the operation up. The Imperials might come aboard for short leave. They might not. But either way, the odds of stormtroopers who, to the three of you, aren't like the bumbling, like, I can't shoot a guy. Like, these are fucking scary super soldiers. That's all you really know about them. So what is your plan? So you're going to have the card game going. You've got the stakes.
Yeah, we've got the card game. We've got the stakes. There is another possibility now that we've got a smaller group here. Because, Uncle, you know how the Blood Pitch have always brought great attention from the Imperials. They can't turn down a good fight, a good show.
That is true.
And this is a relatively, shall we say, shady establishment. And, Fonzie,
Yes?
you are an expert combatant, no?
Oh, yes.
He sings songs with his fists. Perhaps we could stake a second tournament, a conflict, a fight ring where anyone could enter and the prize money could be staked by us. Perhaps an invitation to anyone on the Imperial vessel who thinks they could take out this lovely insane man. We stake them. We stake the casino. We bring them in with prizes, the highest sabak table, the most anyone could win in a single fist fight. And then Nix, myself, Uncle, perhaps we could bribe our way or steal our way into some uniforms to refuel, and then we just journey aboard the ship and do what needs to be done. And we walk out with a crate while everyone's distracted. I mean, it goes fast at the end in that example because it should on the day.
So currently, the plan, if I understand correctly, is high stakes poker game, sabak game, space poker, high stakes space poker.
Do you know what? I think rather than sabak, which I've heard so much about, it's tired. In the Rim, we play space poker.
Meanwhile, down the hall, Nix is like, yeah, so, I mean, I know you beat all those guys while playing sabak. Have you ever beat anyone while playing space poker?
I mean, I beat everyone I've sat down at a space poker table with.
Nix thinks
I've
to
never
himself
lost.
about how it's standing, and he's like, yeah, cool, great. Wow, he must be really good.
I mean, I must be.
Smash cut back.
Which is like also makes logical. Like, I must be good at it, right?
It involves cards. Fuck off. So we smash cut back to the planning chamber. Okay, so the plan is high stakes poker game to try and attract like any high roller Imperials who might be on the station, as well as, if needed, create enough of a spectacle with people losing and being mad about it that chaos will ensue.
Yeah, I'm also aware that if Vic loses and he thinks he's losing his ship, he will cause the biggest fucking stink in the history of the universe.
And
He will at this biker bar fucking pleasure tumor demand to speak to a manager.
Oh, yeah. And he will do that while screaming in a way that can be heard throughout the station.
great. And meanwhile, Fonzie, you're going to be challenging any comers to a fight in the hope that the Imperials will be either attracted by the promise of a fist fight, or that one of them might actually want to challenge you.
I'm going to need more guns if we're going to do this plan.
For the record, this fight would be punching, not shooting.
Oh,
You look like you have a gift with your fists. Am I wrong?
well, I can punch with a gun as well as I can punch with a fist.
Wonderful. Then we're going to leave your guns in the hands of Shatterstar?
All right.
She goes,
Yeah, well...
She picks it. She's like, "Oh, hey man, looks like the name your gun got scratched off. Were you racking this gun?"
I don't know what else you got to rack, Shatterstar.
Yeah, that's true. There's nothing else to rack on this. And then she goes, she's like, "That is fun."
It's
Breaks
fun,
it
isn't
some
it?
more.
Okay, so he'll do the fight thing.
Incidentally, one of Adam's talents is that he has like a specialty gun that's improved. So as this gun gets more broken, it just gets better.
Oh, amazing.
We're definitely leaning into Warhammer 40k orc logic, which is just like he believes it works.
So this seems like we've got a relatively easy plan, Uncle. We send Nix to find an ideal buyer. You and I go and negotiate a price for the ship. We get the money. We start gambling with one friend, the other. We create a terrifying fight ring. Let him beat a couple of rubes that
You
we
know
can
what?
source.
We should have him fight Dibs and have Dibs throw the match.
110% yes. Then we offer the biggest purse yet for whoever wins the next fight, and we make sure that no one on the station will accept because Dibs takes such a sweet dive. Then Nix and we can go and get ourselves on board in our uniforms while things undoubtedly implode on the station. And we'll let Imperial authorities deal with Imperial crimes while we commit crimes of our own.
All right, sexy Moriarty. That sounds good. Wicked. Does anybody have anything else they want to add to that plan? Does that sound good to everybody?
So I kind of want to go look for like knives for my fist fight, just in case.
So you're kind of you're sort of desperately looking around for like a weapons locker, and there's just no such thing on this ship. But you do find an incredibly fancy kitchen, and I'm talking like full stainless steel. Everything's gorgeous. There's like a very functional kitchen island. It's not too big, but it's like big enough for prep. It's perfect. And there's like a magnet over, like clearly untouched, never used. Nothing in this has ever been used. But there's just a line of incredibly good chef's knives.
Okay, so then on my suit, I got some cool kind of like metal body armor. So I take off the magnets off of the fridge and I put them on my metal body armor, and I put the knives on the magnets. So the left side of my body is
Knife
just
armor.
knives.
Just become
Yeah.
an iron chef.
just knives. That's it.
Great.
That can be his fight name. This shall be the Iron Chef.
Sweep, sweep.
And Sweet's my coach. Yeah.
I was going to say,
He's your Mickey.
Yeah.
Sweet.
When I go in the corner, he's my cut man.
I look through the kitchen and I do you know what? I just know. It's the gift of the Falling. I lean and then I just with one heel kick one of the cupboards and it opens and inside, because I've been in 10,000 kitchens, I'm very important. I find I find an apron that's black and white striped, and I walk over and I put it on Sweep, who can now be the referee.
Sweet. Also, that the story you tell yourself is you're very important. You've been in a lot of these. You actually had to cook for your family a lot.
Oh yeah, if I didn't, they would straight up hit me.
I feel like this is like a Gaius Baltar secret farmer situation where it's like, oh yes, of course. I've seen chefs, and it's like, I've been chefs.
Yeah, I feel like he's sort of like Cinderella if no fairy godmother ever showed up, and then he ran away with a crap uncle.
Yeah, but also like shitty rich Cinderella, like but definitely in
He was the youngest ugly stepsister.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and also again, like it's so funny because in the only real depiction of Falling in Star Wars was Shadows of the Empire, and they're like, look, it's this prince who runs a crime syndicate, so he's very like cool and awesome. And I was like, oh man, this super handsome guy. But like, if everyone is that, then it really is just like, yeah, right, you're gorgeous. Who fucking cares? We're all more gorgeous. It's like you're the third, like you're Derek Zoolander to like the other models.
Yeah, they're like, great, you live in a world of models, but like, how much money do you have?
Is that a thing that non-Feline can notice where it's like, yeah, you're unbelievably hot, but I've seen better looking Feline?
No, they rarely ever leave the world. Like, I would have had to have been smuggled off because Imperials innately distrust Feline due to the pheromones.
Okay.
Like, the Imperials
there's not a lot of Feline out there in the galaxy.
But also, I think to some extent, and this is funny, it's a concept that got gently dealt with in the old Star Wars stuff, but the concept of racism doesn't really come up in Star Wars very often. But I think for Vic, you probably have some difficulty telling different aliens apart. Like, it's kind of like me or other things. Like, it's not even like human or not human. It's just like you probably can't tell humans apart either. But it's a little bit like, so Trandoshans are like the giant, like crocodile Gorn motherfuckers.
Okay.
There's one in the movies. He's like stands around. His name's Bossk. He's great.
Bossk sounds familiar.
Anyway, but they're kind of like these giant like reptilian monsters, but they're also green. So I feel like to you, you're like, just a handsome Trandoshan? I don't know.
Yeah, because the Empire, if we go in the traditional form, is like super racist against
100%
aliens.
We're going
and
with that version.
If you are rich, then you have been playing in Empire circles. Like for you, aliens are like the butler you won't let people see in a lot of cases.
So I think, and I don't think you have any bias towards them. It's just literally like, oh yeah, you're one of the green guys.
I don't know where my mom and dad's money came from. I just have it. I have a lot of it.
And if you're gambling in like places where there's shitty money, you've definitely gambled with a shitload of aliens.
Yeah. You went to Canto Blight that one time. It's canon, baby. And for you, Fonzie, everyone's a surprise.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, sure. Yeah. Which actually makes you an incredibly nice person. Okay, so Sweep is either going to be the referee or your coach. I'll leave that up to you.
Probably both.
Yeah. So Dibs is going to take a fall. Cool. All right. This plan makes sense to me. Makes sense to you guys?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So in kind of like Dragon Age Inquisition type things, like Xanto starts taking things down. He's like, sounds like a good plan. I think Vic's really going to lead us to victory on this one. And he kind of like leans down the hall and he looks to you. And because he's finally out of earshot, he's like, fuck.
Yes.
You do hear shouting down the hall like, can't have victory without Vic.
Sweep just looks at all of you and is like, sweep.
You hear slightly quieter. Did you hear what I said, Nix?
You know what? I never thought of that, but it's true because those are the first three letters. And God, you're smart.
I pull out my data pad and I like text a message to Nix that's just like, don't worry, we don't work with him during the plan.
And I'm in the kitchen. I found some like meat hammers and other kind of heavy things, and I'm kind of putting them in my pockets and in my other suit and other pockets.
You catch your reflection in a shiny stainless steel stove. What do you say to psych yourself up?
We can do this, buddy. Come on. No pain, no gain. No gain, all pain.
Sweep comes up behind you, and he can't massage your shoulders in a rocky way because his hands are attached to a broom. So he just like taps the broom on your back, and he's like, somehow he's found a cigar, and he's like, sweep.
Oh, you got it. All right, okay.
And with that, you arrive at the space station.
This episode of Dumb, Scum, and Villainy features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Adam McNamara at Adam McNamara 13 on Twitter, and our fantastic Game Master Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode was edited by Ryan LaPlante, and all of Dum Dums and Dice's art is by Decapitated Markers at Decapitated Marker on Twitter. That's MRKR. Our theme song is In Orbit by Chronox, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Now get out of my shop. I'm a Toydarian. Your Jedi mind tricks do not work on me.
Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christian Menicola, Long Long, Jason Denson, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.